wacky for this one.
I know, because won't be here, so sue me.
It'll be fun.
But I think we still need it to meet, so.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. No, this is a little bit different, like, all the stuff that's going on in Public Works is kind of in motion and happening, and with the exception
All right.
of, like, addressing and such, but,
You are live,
Okay.
whoever's running this meeting.
okay.
I am. Let me get Lonnie real quick.
How about highlighters? I'm ready.
Why does that say? What is lost?
Mm-hmm. Supposed to be a participant?
I hear us talking.
You go to a grid view?
137-871, can I what?
Can you go to a grid view of like
Yeah,
the participants, and then we can see who?
Oh, my God.
well, it's just that it says lost there, and when it came in, let me try something.
Good morning.
Lonnie, have you seen where this says lost previously, and,
Lost?
yeah, it still has, that's new. Has City of Red Lodge. Let me do a dash on the end just to change it and see if it comes back, because it's,
Oh, damn it, yours need to pop.
it's, there we go, now it
By the
doesn't
hole?
fit anymore.
No, just, I think it's a little bit of allergy.
I know, but a second ago, it said
I don't
lost,
usually
I'm
get
wondering
like
if it was
super
because
bad
of
allergies,
the
so I'll get a
space.
little sniffly and plugged up.
So if I take this over,
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. I didn't see any changes in the minutes, so if you're good, we'll just approve those.
Yep, I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, just an update on the public outreach for the June public vote. Thank you for sharing that, and I've been sharing it on Facebook to various groups, the city's webpage showing all of that great information. Frequently asked questions. I mean, it was good.
Yep.
Lots of great information out there for people if they wish to educate themselves.
apologize for the delay in getting that out there.
It's okay, people were still, I mean, you know, I got it out there, and hopefully, I mean, I shared it on Buzz and that stuff, so, I don't know, hopefully, I think you shared it too, didn't you?
I don't know if I did. Yeah, it's been a
Okay,
whirlwind.
and then tonight we have, the T-bid budget. Did you want to introduce
Yeah,
that?
so-
Since you'll be like,
I'll just very briefly introduce it because that's all we're really doing tonight. We'll have a full presentation next council meeting. But essentially, rough draft of our budget. In the past, we've come to council, we have a full budget, and then we move forward with doing grants and all those pieces. So it's all the tourism, tax bureau dollars, so $2 per night per, property or per room. And the whole mission is heads and beds. So, excited. A few changes this year, trying to shift our marketing a little bit, but across the board, it's all good things.
sorry, long weekend.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel, yeah.
Oh my God. It was a good weekend, but it was
Busy.
It was
So that,
busy.
just for our notes, that the action will be planned for next time, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
yep. I'm just gonna essentially present that we will be here with the full, and we'll do a full presentation as well, just explaining what T-bid is, what we do, what we've done in the past year or so, and, have the actual full budget for a presentation. Because right now, that is a draft budget. We're meeting on Thursday to get that finalized.
Okay. All right, now on to what the majority of our meeting will be discussing, our draft 24-25 budget. So.
And Chelsea, you were not here for the last meeting, so I'll give the quick spiel. The department heads
Okay.
were presented with 3 versions of the budget, with primarily what we've done right now is updated the salary information. One is with the 3% COLA, One is with a 4% COLA. The union negotiations for the union, everybody other than the police department, they've asked that the bookends be moved to 1 and 6. And then there is another one where it was, they wanted the bookends moved and they felt they were behind schedule, they needed to bump it $1.50 for each of the next 3 years to get in line with what others were. We have done some comparisons on the Public Works Department specifically. We have not done that across the board yet.
Yep.
We've kind of used that as a template, and basically what it told us is they're not as far out of whack as what they think or like to be, so I don't see that $1.50 coming through, and it's unsustainable
Yeah.
in the budget. So they have received all 3 versions of those.
Okay.
The one that we're sharing as the initial budget with the public at this point is the 4%. It is knowingly over budget. The department heads have been basically given their version to offer, where those cuts should occur. And as we proceed through the system, if they are not able to identify where those cuts are, then I will make those cuts for them, but we're giving them first. And we saw in the last meeting where Chief Schrock was able to go through and say, I already see where I can make some changes or I can make some budget edits. But it's basically, and the same thing from the library. So to give you an example, the library has a position that they would like to take from 25 to 30 hours, which now means it becomes a weighted position because of benefits and such. And rather than telling her no, it's here's the budget, you tell me how it is you make that work because you're over by X.
Yep.
And so, and I've already had follow-up conversations with her. Like I said, the one that I've had the least follow-up conversations with, and it's also the one that's the most impacted with, is Chief Schrock. So,
Okay.
and then Lonnie, what do you want to add to that?
So in the general fund, a couple more changes that will need to be had once discussions are had and decided upon is the fire contract. Currently, our current year's amount is in there, not what it would be.
Yep.
The next one. So that ultimately will up the bottom line.
And that conversation, with Tom is, and basically what we have with them is a contract that says 28%,
No.
or 28 mil, sorry.
Yeah.
There are 2 ongoing conversations, both impacted by the upcoming levy. Tom has indicated that he can and will be flexible. And so what we'll do is, even though our current contract says 28%, what we're doing is 28 mil, sorry, the 28 mil, I'm adopted.
It probably is pretty close.
No, it's actually not, but what we're gonna do is convert that to a historical, what has that been as a percentage of general? Basically, he's indicated that if the levy passes, he has some flexibility to work with us. We are also having a conversation, I had a post-conversation with him since the last time you and I chatted, Lonnie. The auditors did not say we couldn't do it. In fact, they threw a couple of different options, but we basically had to pull out the ordinance. So we're having a conversation of, can we help meet some of that legally from resort tax, whether that be one of 2 different approaches. There was a question about whether we buy equipment that's owned by another entity, which is the same issue that kind of came up initially with CART when we revisited that. But there's also a, can we own it and then just have an MOU for it? We already have 1 truck that we own that they have. So there's a, anyway, there's a couple of different avenues that are still
Potential for offsets.
for potential for some shifts and changes. But we're working out the assumption that the starting point, the 2 givens are, we're using as our dollars how much we got last year, because it's not gonna go down. And we are going to maintain our reserves. Everything else is on the table. Those 2 are not.
So, my understanding last year, when we, kind of going roundabout to the library here, that we were going to give them those 7 mills last year so that they could do their, roof. But it looks like we're still doing it this year. Because I thought that was gonna be a one-time thing, and we had told, didn't we kind of say that to her last year?
And that same conversation about being a percentage historical has already been had with her as well.
Right, well, and it was never a contract type thing, and it was just,
No, they had just agreed, and so I haven't come back with those numbers of like, here's the
Okay.
5-year trend, but she has also agreed that what we're gonna do is keep a number with what's been historically there.
Okay, because, well, I mean, when we got our mills, and it was like almost a $20,000 increase over the prior year that we gave them, my understanding was that that was just going to be a one-time bump, and we would go back down to like the 175 for the prior year.
Okay,
So, I don't know, was I kind of
I do
misunderstanding?
remember some of the conversations of,
Yeah.
you know, this is not a set in stone amount.
Right, because, I mean, they wanted to finish the roof,
Right.
and we were like, okay, well, even, this is a huge bump for you guys this year, even though we've agreed to the 7 mills, but we'll go ahead and do it this year so you can get your roof. And now, I mean, we kept it, it's still there. It went from
Okay,
175 to
Can you tell me
193.
what page you're on?
I'm sorry, page 5, at the bottom of
Thank
page
you.
5. So, and understanding that the city is not funding the entire library, obviously,
Right.
you know, but,
so we have had that conversation, it is not reflected in here, so.
okay. Okay,
Her and I met Thursday?
Yeah, so there hasn't been any cuts from what the department heads have presented to the mayor on their budgets, like the court budget, any of the other budgets. There have been no cuts made.
Phase 1 was populate the number, starting number, carry the numbers over from last year, put in the salaries, 3 flavors.
okay. I won't get too worked up yet.
Pardon?
I won't get too worked up yet.
No. And I've made a note, thank you.
Yes.
And she has already agreed, when I said what we're gonna be doing is, those ones we've done is mill-based just for math purposes, and she mentioned actually that she was surprised by that, or pleasantly surprised or happy with that last year.
Yeah, well, and I think it's just Lonnie got it to work more than anything, so, but yeah,
Is this the same one that's in the packet one?
Yes.
okay. So of these numbers here then, can you tell me what % is probably going to have to be cut in order to make it balanced?
The dollar amount is, 63 is what sticks in my mind for some reason.
63,000?
How much over budget are we at 4% on general? Remember what the dollar amount is? Does it show up on our final page here?
Yeah, so our current budget is $2,052,846. And then with the preliminary, it's $2,062,575. But also note that that does not include any increase in the fire. So that 10,000
So-
difference is going to.
So if fire stays the same, do you know what the difference is between those two numbers?
About 10,000.
Is it only 10,000?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
No, it's not. It's, like I said, that there are,
Yeah, there's some changes, some variables that are happening there.
yep.
And so, if fire stays the same, which is not a given, where was the 63 I was coming up from? Was it 63 more in salaries
Possibly.
if across the board, if at the 4%?
I'm not sure where you were from, the 63.
I'm just remembering it from a conversation.
So another reason why it doesn't, with that 4%, percentages have changed as far as, employees because of our work that we're doing now. So like, for mine, the current year I was 50% out of general, and I've changed that to 40% because of all of the water and sewer projects and the grants that I'm having to deal with. I put a little bit more of my time percentage-wise into water and sewer.
Okay,
Denise has also been, because she's taken over recycling, where that was the planning department
Right.
position. She's taken over that, so a percentage of hers has now moved into recycling.
absolutely, yeah.
So that's another reason why it seems like, 10,000 is not that bad.
But
there was some adjustments with salaries,
Okay,
percentage-wise,
okay,
so. just
okay.
a heads up on that one.
Does include, and, this, just to reconfirm, this does include our vacant position at this point still, right? That we did 30.
Yes, so that would be another thing, because that was, and I put that into planning.
There's planning and research, is that it? There's 76,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got to
Okay.
So it does not reflect change in fire and does not, reflect, and by the way, this is on page 6 is where those numbers are showing up on there.
So, yeah,
Does not
because you have,
does not reflect additional,
well, and your planning and research went from 92,000 down to 76,000 because we don't have someone in that position, right? So are you?
no, that was what went down was this year's, so let me go back to.
Well, you have
the
it,
actual-
you have it budgeted at 76. The current budget was 92,000 for 23, 24.
So show me what page you're on, I'm sorry.
On page 2, the bottom of page 2, under
Okay,
planning.
and so the answer is that's not reflected, because we actually bumped that up significantly, so that is not planning and research, 92 to 76. We talk higher, yeah, so that's, I will follow.
And then financial services, what's that? What's the?
Maybe that's that position that,
Because we had 95,000 in it last year, and now we have 79.
I will wait until Lonnie gets back to see if she's, oh, I know why planning is only, that's because that's only 1/3 of it. And so that was,
Oh, okay,
so that new position is across 3 different departments.
Oh, gotcha.
okay,
So that 76 is of the weight, so planning and services, part of that is outsourced services, and
okay,
part of that is the salary positions. And so I'll wait till Lonnie gets back before we
okay.
do that.
Legal services is.
I want to say part of that was water, sewer, and planning.
So you have
But-
contract payments there for planning and research at 82.5, so that's for the contracted planner, you have 45,000, Main Street grant 37.5.
Yep, and that's a specific process that we're paying for this out. So that's,
And legal services is Jennerson, right?
yeah. While she's out, can I change gears on you a
Yeah,
little bit, just for a couple things that
absolutely.
I'd like to have on your radar?
Yes,
One of them is that we need to do a policies review and update. To give you an example, you guys are both aware from some of the concerns and complaints we've had as far
Right.
as, whether it be,
Policies and
cars,
procedures.
whether it's been, people doing repairs on their own vehicles on weekends, on their time in the city shop. Those are a couple of the ones that have come up that there's concerns about, so just, I want to throw that out. I don't know if it's something,
do you want us to be coming up with those, or do you want to come up with
that
those?
was kind of my question to you. My plan and hope has been, I've requested some updates from our legal. I'm probably gonna be, looking at some, and it probably needs to be a resolution, and it probably should have been on this time, to do for the civil side, not the prosecution side, to get an outside resource in, specifically like on the airport and on some of the policy stuff. And technically, I think to authorize that, it doesn't require a bid, it doesn't require, but it does require an authorization. In one sense, we could just do it as I move to authorize the mayor to spend some money on some outside services, but I would prefer to probably have a resolution, just so we have a paper trail. And that's another related thing that's important to this group, is we just need to make sure that our resolutions and ordinances, as we go back and try to find stuff, we're having a heck of a time where the titles don't match,
Yeah,
or they don't state what they are, or there's things that are changed to public code, like the camping stuff, where it wasn't an ordinance that said we're updating section 6-4-32. We just need to make sure that our format going forward is kind of warn us on that. Lonnie, back to budget stuff. The new position is split equally between water, sewer, and is it planning, or where did we do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And so that 76 is basically 1/3 of the weighted. No,
So-
it's actually, plus, it also includes the outsource.
No, the outsource is under 397.
Yeah,
So I had notes on there, the contractor planner, I put in 45,000 because,
that was last year's.
yeah, because with WWC, we don't have a cap or anything on there. It wasn't a set, like
Okay.
we did with Great West. So that's why I put question marks, I did put that in there. Same with the, Main Street grant, I need to talk to,
Which page, please?
This is page 3 of 17.
under 397.
yeah,
Okay, so, where are we setting financially by having the contract planning versus
An actual position.
an actual position?
So right now, what's happening is we're only using them as needed. We are not using them full-time by any means. And the additional things that would be covered by that position, or the full-time staff position at this point in time, are being split by me and Brian. So I'm free. Brian, what we're doing is, previously, he was being paid 100% out of the planning. Did we go 85?
No, building.
I'm sorry, building. Are we going 85-15, I think, is what we're doing on the salary now?
I think I plugged in 10% of Brian's out of planning.
Okay.
Because he has some taken out of water and sewer, because he deals with the impact fees when he does building permits and stuff, so he deals with some water.
So there's a very high level of awareness to make sure that we're paying people out of the funds that represent where their workload is. And Brian is not coming 100% out of planning.
So currently, in planning services under 100, the wages, that amount includes 33.33% of the new position.
Page, please.
Okay, so when you're saying new position, what is the new position?
So that's the staff position that I have not hired yet, which is kind of like a city administrator or administrative assistant or financial officer position
With grant writing?
with grant writing abilities. That absolutely can be part of that job description of what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
Is there a way, and I hate to add more to your plate, Lonnie, to get a breakdown of staff positions and which percentages they're coming out of, just so we can have that good understanding?
Yes,
Thank
It
you.
was
not
on
today,
our old-
but
It was on our old budget, it would show right there.
Right,
it is,
yeah.
we are, and what I've got right now in the spreadsheet that I'm losing the battle with, you weren't here for that discussion either, is by service.
Okay.
So like water,
Perfect.
police, so you'll see this
Thank
is
you.
much out of general, this is much out of this fund, this much is that.
That's
So,
great.
so that, yes.
Perfect.
We will have that before we're done. We will not have that by tonight.
That's fine. Yep.
But I can put, like, where you see that 4% COLA, like in the old spreadsheets that I use, I would break it up by position of their percentages. I just didn't get around to putting them in there.
That's
yet.
totally fine.
We
Yep.
have to get up tomorrow.
Yep, that's, again, I
But
totally get
that's
it,
the way
but yeah,
it's
that'd be
in there.
super helpful
So
too.
that it shows a percentage of what position is.
Yeah. Because I will say, I really do like this format.
I like it better now that I switched it to the Word one, because when I had it in Excel, it was so cumbersome. I was like, I don't like how, but this one looks a little bit smooth than the other
Yeah,
one.
I like how this looks, and I think if we can just couple that with a couple of, clarifiers, I think that's gonna be a really good move.
So, under road and street services,
Page, please.
I'm sorry, number 5, page 5. we have, that coming out of general fund.
If those are the guys that, if we only have one position paid out of,
Completely paid out of resort tax.
yes,
Yep.
these are the guys that are not paid out of resort tax. So it's just their salaries only, that's in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there was a comment last year from resort tax, I think it was Tom, about having all of the salaries taken out of, resort tax, but that's an option because it is available.
I mean, it's
for
allowed,
salaries.
I mean, it's allowed regardless, regardless of their,
So, I mean, that,
You did not just say irregardless, right?
regardless.
because that is a percentage of, the guys that are doing road and street maintenance. So,
Is there a reason that road and street cannot be resort tax?
It can be, that's
It
what
can
I'm
be.
saying, it
last
can be.
year though, it was brought
The-
up by.
The resort tax committee felt that they have the one position that have parks, have streets. That's absolutely, the public absolutely will support that.
I thought he was 100% out of parks, or 100% dedicated to parks.
No, he's supposed to be driving
Oh,
plows.
'cause he does do snow too, you're right,
Yeah.
sorry.
50/50,
He does
so
50/50.
he's either streets or parks.
But the way that it's written, we can do, anybody who's working on streets can be taken out of resort tax as
So
well.
that is an option. The
Okay.
council mayor, so.
I mean,
chooses
sometimes
to-
I feel like, you know, that's like a low-hanging fruit versus trying to figure out the fire department thing. So, I mean, and paying that out of resort tax. So,
Yeah,
So, that
that would
definitely
free
helps,
up
71,000.
but it also cuts into our resort.
It does, but if you're looking for ways to pay for equipment for the fire department out of resort tax, I mean, that's probably about the same amount of money that you can
And,
get right now. I'm not saying do both, I'm saying, you know, not necessarily do both, but, you know, just throwing it out there, okay, Mr. Budget Man.
I appreciate it.
So, I'm not sure, weed control, that's only $2,100, and we try to get that,
You were not reading your mind in between when you,
page 5,
2,100?
I'm just going down. There's $2,100 for weed control, it's not a lot, to me, that seems kind of more of a parks thing, but.
So that, though, has to
Vacant
do
lot.
with the vacant lot.
Right, and we do try to get that back, right? We charge them for that,
Oh, yeah,
right?
if we, that.
On
yeah,
their
if-
property taxes?
Yeah,
Okay,
if they
okay.
mow, so this is kind of a pass-through.
Okay,
So
okay.
we always charge back the.
Yeah.
How much do we charge per vacant lot?
Whoever is mowing for us and stuff, that's what we charge.
Oh, so it's not the city going out and mowing it, we contract.
we
Okay.
contract it out and fill it.
Okay.
It's cleaner and easier to get a judge to
Perfect.
pay up if we ever needed to.
Perfect. That's, I guess that was kind of my question.
Yeah, so that.
I don't want people counting on the city to go mow their lots because we're cheaper.
No, we find a contractor that's available that will go do them and.
Perfect.
He goes and does them.
Okay.
So,
The good news is hopefully we have fewer vacant lots this year.
we didn't have very many last year that we had to.
Do, yeah.
Well, part of them, and this goes back to your conversation, but some of our loud complainers that live in the neighborhood, their lots magically got shorter,
Oh.
only cost me a tire and gas. Actually, that's not true, it cost me I had to replace 2 tires, so.
Okay, so I'm just kind of going through the.
Yep, I'm just kind of going line by line. There was one that I noticed when I was first starting to go through for, on page 1,
So we're back to page 1?
back to page 1, sorry
Okay.
guys, and then we can jump back forward.
No, that's okay, we can go
Um,
through it better.
I just see that, under office supplies and materials, $1,500 for a new computer.
That was for the mayor.
Was it a really good one?
Oh, we don't have it yet.
Okay.
So, what I've been using, and I will probably go back to, is I'm just using a personal Mac from home. Unfortunately, it died.
Oh, no.
Let me rephrase it. It's not functioning right now, but it's a hard drive thing, and my concern is, probably, given that the next mayor may or may not be a MAC person,
Right.
you know, after my 12 years are done or whatever that is,
Mhm.
I may just go ahead and use a personal machine. But it's not, but we also, we've ordered some monitors. My opinion is our folks need the tools to do their jobs.
Agreed. I was
And
just
so-
wondering, that's what I was kind of wondering what the breakdown was on that. Is that a computer or
that's-
is that multiple?
That was a safety margin because she didn't know what Max ran. And so that's like a Mac and a monitor, so.
So
Okay.
if he doesn't get one, I need one, because mine is,
Oh, yeah.
Because if I do get one, she gets my old one or it's there. So we will put it with,
which is.
it's 15, it's,
Yeah, 'cause
yeah.
all I know is $1,500 to get a really snazzy computer. I'm just wondering what the requirements are for that computer, what kind of software it's gonna be running, those types of pieces. Like, is it something that has to be top end, or is it something that can be
So the
very
1,500 was a high end, because I
Okay.
don't know anything about
Okay.
Macs.
Yep.
That's
So-
why it's.
And
brought
Macs are
in.
generally pretty expensive, so.
The app, yeah.
Okay, just going down on that same page,
And
like,
we won't be getting a fancy computer. It's basically to make sure we have money for
Make sure you have enough.
computers and,
And monitors and all of the
monitors
things, yep.
and stuff. So
Okay, that's what I was wondering, just, making sure that
We
it's not,
won't spend it if it's stupid.
appreciate it.
So- going down, let's just go through these page by page and if
Yep.
you have any questions. So on the bottom, I do see that you took out the 5,000 for the substitute judges.
The judge took that out.
Yeah.
So whatever is in this court budget,
Uh-huh,
the judge put in there.
okay,
We didn't touch other, well, he did make a request on the salary stuff, but
okay.
that's
And,
reflected in here.
Yeah.
But it's like the case swapping, I mean, it's free when, it doesn't, how does
Yeah,
that?
but we
work?
had issues with that, and that's why, the previous mayor changed it and put that in there.
Right, I kind of remember, was he charging for overtime or just extra time? I can't remember.
there was a concern if he was being paid by that district and simultaneously being paid by us, he was double dipping, and that's not allowed.
And so that's why there was that put in there, so there would be no question that if we had a substitute judge, the city would pay that substitute judge,
Mhm.
and,
Oh,
yeah. So that's why that was in there, but the judge,
yeah, because I
Like I
thought with
said-
the case swapping that you weren't paid for it, but they would come and cover you if something happened.
like I said, there
Like
was
if he was gonna go out of the
That-
case,
that-
then that judge would come in and work it for like pro bono, because then he would in turn return the favor kind of thing.
That's the way it supposedly is working. The question is it being turned in, and so, yeah.
Okay. I mean, if that's the way
There
it's
was-
really working, then that's good, but if,
The way you described it is the way I understand
Yeah,
it, which
okay.
means there's not a need to put additional in there.
okay, I mean, if that's the way it really is, then,
like I said, the previous mayor had concerns, and that's why it was put in there.
okay.
Question under, court stuff, are there operating supplies? Did he give in clean, any information on what that is?
I will tell you that the conversation has been that it raises flags when he orders 8 cases of paper once a year rather than ordering throughout the year. That's just kind of a general conversation that was to all departments. What we don't want to do is have expenses that show up and it was actually raised, in the last kind of checks is, that's a lot of supplies all at once.
Yeah.
And so make sure spending habits make sense and don't throw alarms and flags.
Right, because I know we did have a big concerns with his supply budget last year and the year before, and
And he did bump it back up to what it was.
yeah, because, I mean, we just basically said last year, with the understanding, we're going to keep it low, and if you need something, obviously, we're probably, you just have to come and ask, and we can adjust the budget at that time.
But yeah, we'd like our budget to be accurate and reflective from a public standpoint, so it's not just, it's there, we'll switch it around as needed.
No, I
There's
know,
a
but,
mechanism available, but let's not plan on it.
Right.
I also, at the very beginning, though, when his budget for supplies was very high because it was a brand-new position that had been created that we didn't have, and we had given him, I wasn't on council then, but you guys had given him a big budget to stock and supply what he needed to create his office. And when we bumped it down a couple years later, he still wanted that huge budget for office supplies, and that wasn't the intent of that, to keep it at that amount.
My big thing is I'm seeing a 200% increase on office supplies, and then there's an other operating office, or like operating supplies, and I'm just curious what that other lines out to. Like, just if we could get some clarification on that from him, of
Okay.
what that might look like, or what that is, because we
Yeah.
did just get him a $500 bookcase in the last go-around of sign-offs.
Okay.
So like, that to me is like, what else?
One of
What
the
do you
things
need?
we should probably do as we do staff presentations, is, let me go to my, notes on here, is, staff budget date presentations, is what we should do, is have specific questions come in advance. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's just highlighting things that I have.
So in other words,
Right,
in advance, like if we were gonna say, in 2 weeks, the judge is gonna come and present/defend his budget.
yeah.
Please look at page 141-0360 and identify any questions you would like him to be prepared to answer at that point in
Perfect.
time.
Love that.
I just think,
So-
you know, this last year, he stayed within budget with the lower supply amount, and I don't understand, I mean, what is he planning on buying that he needs to double it?
Yeah, that's really all I wanna know. If it's valid, then great, like, but if
I know.
it's, you know,
And I can't answer that, but I think it's fair to ask him
Mhm.
about how to do
maybe
so.
judge gowns are very expensive. I don't know.
Okay.
Also on that, and again, I don't wanna just get too much in the weeds, but website, that'll be a question that I have for him, and is that for our website?
Yes, so it's,
Okay.
it's
It's
a split
proportioned.
between all the funds,
Okay.
because per our website, he has a page on our
Okay.
website.
So everyone has like a percentage out of
Yeah.
that? Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to double check on
And
that.
and I did, brought this up in our public safety, because our tech services, our tech support is astronomical.
It is
It's
very high.
gonna be expensive though, because.
Who do we use?
CoSynthis, but whoever we're gonna use is gonna be expensive because we do off-site backups.
Right,
We don't do, so that's, and then with the police department, because their backups on the server, because we're backing up videos,
yeah,
so that
That's
costs
a lot of
even
space.
more.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I just, every time they call in, it seems like,
yeah.
yeah.
Consensus, is that what you said?
CoSynthis.
CoSynthis is who we're and that was the initial, and again, we've raised and are revisiting just simply because the CoSynthis was a specific request from Chief Wells.
Okay.
The current police department's feedback has, they are A, not tied to it, and B, not necessarily impressed.
Okay.
And, the feedback from the front office staff is that we felt like with the other folks were more responsive.
Okay,
And honestly,
Only thing though, if we do decide to switch,
that's a big change.
it's a
The
big
upfront.
cost, because we have, onboarding fees
Totally.
Come up to
that are
speed.
Yep.
expensive.
yeah, no, I
On
realize
top
that.
of,
But I also realize, I mean, you said video, you know, backing up your hard drives and stuff like that. Honestly, server space is cheap. That's like the cheapest thing out there, honestly,
Just cloud storage.
cloud storage.
Yeah.
It's,
It's
but I
cheap.
don't believe, so they have storage that's going to,
It goes to a hard server, and,
it's through their, whoever their body cams, I can't think of the name of it. But there's also some because they back up nightly on
Yeah.
stuff. So if they're downloading videos, those videos are being backed up.
No, I realize that.
It's
And-
expensive to do that, and I do not think that those videos can be just out in the cloud. They have to be through their, because
Yeah.
it's sensitive.
it's gotta be on a hard server.
Well, it's a cloud service still, but it's
It
a
is, yeah.
specific legal cloud service.
Correct.
Yeah, no,
How
and
many- I apologize, probably should know this, but now's a good time to find out. How many different companies do we have we talk about Crescentis for our support, but how many different companies would use technology contracts do we have? Because that's a different one.
I don't know who the police department, because, well, Motorola, that was that $10,000 bill that the police department got for body camera stuff. And that's an annual thing. And, there's I cannot think of the other one that we were having trouble with. The only other IT is Coscentus that we have.
But that's basically break fix.
And so as I don't know, as far as the police department, they have to have.
Okay, I will dig into that further.
I've noticed though that, I mean, a lot of things seem to go down all the time, and when you're using a technology company that's supposed to be servicing you, a lot of those issues should just not happen anymore, you know, I mean,
When you say things going down all the time, I mean, we have issues, but give me an
well,
idea.
like what the chief said, you know, they come reset the service and then his camera doesn't work. I mean, things like that, I mean, like it
But that's
shouldn't.
through them, I mean, the rest of us have
Yeah.
no
That's-
issues.
That's a separate product that's not
Right.
included in
Okay.
that. That
Yeah,
was,
so Cosentus, we have certain things that is included in our monthly, but then anything above that, the backups, we only get a certain amount per contract for backups. But with the police department and videos, it goes above that. So the police department gets charged that extra bit.
No, I realize that, I just think that, I don't know, it just is so much. I get it, but I mean, I was in the insurance industry and we had, you know, a lot of the same things, the big corporate, but our,
an outsourced IT department. But actually, that was like headquarters that did that, didn't it?
yeah, but it just was, they outsourced our tech because it was cheaper than having a tech department.
Yeah.
And our office was assigned a certain amount of that, but it was nothing compared to what the city is paying, I guess, is my thing.
Yes, that might be worth exploring a little bit.
Okay.
I have a cop friend coming to town in 2 weeks from Duluth, so see what he uses.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. So financial services, is that part of that new position, or is that Lonnie?
That's fine.
That's Lonnie, okay. All these new names, okay?
Does that include our, audits and stuff too, or is that elsewhere?
Audits is under, if you go down a little bit, it says
Auditing, yeah.
Yep.
So Lonnie, the fact that finance goes from 95 down to 79, is that a shift in positions?
percentages, yeah.
Shift in
Yeah.
allocations?
Yeah. And I was just looking at my supplies, I don't need 1,700 in mine, I can cut that. Postage though,
Might need to
Going
shift
up,
it,
yeah.
so I may have to shift a little of my supplies into the postage, but I can cut some of my supplies and maybe up the postage by a couple hundred. Because that 930 does not include our mailing for business licenses renewal.
And to your point, or to one of the earlier points or comments, it does not make sense that the judge's supplies exceed
Yeah,
the rest of the city.
yep.
Absolutely, that's just it, I mean, I know it's being recorded, but it just, you have employees that if they have a budget, they're gonna use it. And you have employees that if they have a budget, they're going to try to be conservative and save money.
And my hope is that we advocate that this is not a use it or lose it
Right.
Yeah.
environment. That's
Right.
certainly the conversations we've had, so. Lonnie, does our reserve show up in this general budget?
Nope.
Okay, it's separate.
Okay.
So a few down
So,
already.
yeah, so audit, that's putting on elections, planning and research, that if you, so the planning and is that the new position then that you're talking about too,
Part of it, yes,
part of it?
will
Okay,
be in that one.
okay. So that would be the new hire? If and when you find someone?
Mhm.
If we
And that would be that
determine that it
hybrid.
makes sense to, I mean, like I said, I'm not hiring it until I know how it's gonna work, not only now, but going forward perpetually.
Yep.
Right. Oh. Okay. Well, and honestly, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll just reserve that judgment until we get the actual numbers.
So subscriptions and newspapers,
Page, that's lots of
Sorry?
places.
page 3 of 17, 333,
Okay.
that's 150%
What is that for?
subscriptions and
Oh,
newspapers.
yeah. Oh, that's for, placing ads in the paper
Is
public,
it for ads or is it for
No,
our
that,
paper?
the line above it is for
publications,
The
okay.
subscriptions, newspapers, I think that includes Carbon County News, because I split that up between all the departments.
Okay.
And there's something else.
Yeah, 'cause that's like $64 a year. Oh, but that's digital.
Well, that went up too, by the way, significantly.
Yeah, my digital subscription was $69. I just got my bill.
I'll look and see what I paid.
But I don't know what the paper one is.
Yeah, that'd be, just a question on that.
Yep.
Whenever I see something jump.
Yeah, no.
And then,
Okay.
computer tech support, again. Service.
I like our format where what we'll do is we'll give council, this is what's gonna be talked about at the next meeting.
Yep,
Yeah,
Come up with your specific questions, because that way they can prepare and go through.
yep,
And then 390, last year we had the sustainability board, Courtney had said they, like a few of their supplies, and then the grant matching for some of their grants, that was the 1,200 that was put in there last year.
okay.
So
It's just
I
rolling
just
over.
carried it forward, I don't know
Okay.
if that's still a thing or not.
I think that's probably a smart idea to have a matching fund available
I mean,
just
it's not
for,
much, but,
yeah, it's something.
so.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
And then under the contract payments, that was the question mark. I'll find out from Chad as far as carry forward on the Main Street grant, or if it'll be done,
And
closed out before July 1st.
Cool.
it will not be.
Not cool.
So I'll figure out, but that one is a grant, so that one is also reflected on the revenue side.
okay, 'cause it's an in and out.
So whatever's
Okay.
left over of the grant will be on the revenue side of the general fund, so it'll
Okay.
balance. So ultimately, that's.
The grant revenue will pay for it.
Yeah, that's a wash on that one, but then the contract is higher going on.
Okay. And then the contract planner on that, is that 100%, or are we actually, taking some of that out of water and sewer?
They're not
or-
doing anything with water.
Okay.
Our water and sewer is the stuff that's
It's Great
going
West.
to
To
Great West and
Still,
stuff.
so we
this
still
is-
have Great West, they're just not doing it.
The contract planner is the Cody,
Right,
and the difference is, in the absence of Courtney on this side, you have Brian and me.
okay,
Okay.
okay. All right, and then legal services is our city attorney, is that correct? And then are we outsourcing some of that as well, or is he handling everything, or?
Right now, he's
Okay.
handling everything. I would like to outsource, the civic side of things. There's,
Would we change his contract then?
because it's being looked into. And part of that is I'd like
We don't really
some.
wanna pay him full time and then.
Well, and we're not paying him full-time, we're paying him 32 hours.
Right,
But, yeah, there's some question marks there right now. Lonnie, please feel free to speak freely, whatever you wanted to say.
No, I was just gonna add that he did cut, a few of his line items
Yeah.
and stuff from last year, so.
yeah, and his office supplies he put down to 500, so,
Yeah, his budget is really mostly just wages, there's not really
Yeah.
much for.
Yeah. Has he been, in terms of tracking those hours, is that,
It is not happening to my satisfaction yet. It is an ongoing personnel issue.
okay, so,
facilities and administration? I see a lot of.
That's City Hall,
okay.
yeah, and I don't think I kinda left everything the same on that one.
Yep.
And then you,
Okay. Public safety, I'm assuming that's the gas bill?
what is that?
Oh,
Gatsby?
so that's Gatsby 68, that's a auditor, thing,
Okay.
there's nothing in there, but it shows it's because it has actuals on this, it comes up,
Okay,
but there's nothing, that's an auditor,
Okay.
adjustment during,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Just transfers.
GASB 68 is a, financial nightmare, but it has to do with, I don't know, wages and stuff, and it's a, like I said, it's something done in the background by auditors.
okay. So is it an actual expense
No.
to the city? Okay.
We're gonna run out of time, just so you know.
Okay, can you say a little bit?
I can
I-
say.
Okay,
I got nothing going on.
okay, because I'd love to be able to go through the whole budget if you're okay with that one. Okay. Okay, law enforcement services, we did go through this.
Okay.
Today at public safety, I'd love to, public safety committee would love to be able to have some grant money, grant writing money in here. But in the absence of that, if you do hire a new position, hybrid position, we were hoping that they would be able to have that ability to be able to write grants, because there's a lot of money out there that we're not applying for the police department. So, grants and stuff like that, so.
I'm seeing an 800% increase on equipment repair. Is there something specifically that's busted that we need to fix?
Yeah, but this is, he has quite a bit of increases on his budget, but that's,
Repair. Could we new, is that, no? Motor vehicle repair is under motor vehicle, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay. So,
it might be, body cams or something like that, I don't know. That'd be a good question to ask.
you know, they usually need new tires and stuff like that, but that should be on the motor vehicle. Dispatch.
they have a separate line item for tires.
Oh, do they? Okay. Yeah, and he did say that there were a couple of different things on here that he could look
Can
at.
cut back a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll have a question on other professional services, just kind of what that.
I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. Tell me where we're down to.
Other professional services for the
Yep.
police department.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
just going through police, I have a few line items that. Let's see, capital outlay. That's 0%. Okay.
All right, and then fire protection and control, you've already kind of addressed that. The
Yeah.
mayor is talking to Tom about that.
And we'll have some additional information. We'll probably, because of dates and time-wise, I'll probably end up combining. We may just have to do a little bit of presentation on like the same night that we have, police. I don't think it's a full night, and I don't think we have enough nights that. And again, I think part of it, yeah, we'll know after the 4th how flexible he is on that, and if we're able to address it there. The other thing, like I said, is we'll come back each week and come back with these specific questions
Cool.
for those folks to come up with. And I'm gonna try to have that schedule and calendar put together today,
Awesome.
so that you guys know what that is.
Question, on the ballot, it's EMS, not fire. Are
Correct.
they supplementing?
No, well,
That's what
Yeah,
they're-
I know, it's kinda hard.
so the answer is some of his structural stuff. I believe the answer is probably yes, because they're in the same building. What he's doing is he's supplementing fire with some of his EMS, and if that passes, he will be able to, he's just indicated he will be more flexible to have a discussion on fire if the EMS passes. So does that answer your question indirectly?
It just throws red flags for me if
I think those are worthwhile red flags. I think those are valid. That's your inner Diane coming out. That's not a bad thing.
my or what?
Your inner Diane, and I mean that as a compliment.
She's gonna watch this and go smack you.
No, it's all right. No, we're good. It's
That
just
was
looking at
exactly.
it and having a red flag that says, why does that matter? Fire's one bucket, EMS is another
Yeah,
bucket.
absolutely, that kind of, I was kind of,
It's
yeah.
absolutely a valid question.
I thought the same thing this morning when you said that. But, okay, so the library budget, we don't really have much say in, I guess.
And I will, but I just didn't,
When you say you don't, I mean,
Well, we don't, because we basically give them a certain amount of money, we don't go through their budget line by line. We haven't been.
not a true statement. So
Well, that's what we do.
traditionally,
Traditionally,
we have given them
7
1 mil. There is a lot of their budget that is passed through that is not directly us.
Right,
yeah, and I didn't put on there the breakdown of where the money was coming from, because, you know, like on my other spreadsheet.
yeah, you
on the
did,
side,
yeah.
And I just don't know where to plug that into, but,
We might just do it similar to like having that supplemental document that we have for employees, where same kind of deal.
we'll have the information, so
Yep.
it's just not necessarily when you're looking at the general budget fund, it doesn't show up.
because that was one reason why, Bill, when he was mayor, and the issue with calling the library, so Jody would be like, okay, well, the council wants to cut this, and then she'd take it back to the library board, and then they'd be like, well, we're not cutting this and this and this, and then they send us back a different one. So Bill's thinking was, here's the money that the city is going to contribute to the library. You guys figure out your budget with these numbers, and then that's
Gotcha.
how it comes
Yeah,
about.
and we're basically doing that same thing with every department. They just don't necessarily all have a board that dictates it.
Right,
It's a department head that dictates it.
Isn't it interesting that veterinary bills I mean, granted, it's a 0 line item, it's just that veterinary is all line item.
Under library,
Yeah, under medical, dental, and veterinary.
Well, because that just lumps it in.
Yep. And again, there's nothing there, just
Because,
funny.
well, now
why am
with
I
this-
not seeing it? I'm looking on page 5, sorry, where
page
it's library.
31,
Yep.
medical, dental, veterinary,
Yep.
like, do they have a dog?
No, but, so.
But
The code numbers are set in bars.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm like, what?
Yep, I found
Because
that
like the
one.
police department, all
Oh,
of
okay.
that have,
Yep.
because our randoms and stuff are pulled
Sure.
from that object, but I can't change that object to say whatever for them and.
Totally,
something
yep,
different.
no.
So how much at 7, so did you say 7 mils for the year's budget then?
I haven't done anything on the revenue side,
Okay,
but the number the base number, that's factored in with what we gave them last year. Or our current year, sorry.
yeah, I'm just trying to get it clear in my head how this all works, I guess, and,
So our starting point, let me see if I understood the question. Our starting point for our numbers, when we're saying here's our budget, is based on our actuals from last year.
okay.
Did I understand the question?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, so this was like 7 mils then from last year, that's what,
Well, I'm talking about the income side of it, not the, right.
that's what I'm saying, 7
But these
mils.
budgets are based on income.
Public Works, Parks.
And what did you see that pointed you to 7 mils? What line item were you looking at? Or were you just looking at the
No,
one
that's
ninety-three?
what we've always, that's what Bill, when Bill was mayor, he said, we're just gonna give you 7 mils, you guys make your budget. And so that's what, how the city had been funding our portion of it.
And,
And my thing was, that I was saying was that the mill value went up so much that it was a bump to the library over what, anything that the city necessarily.
right, we have
should be
that with
doing.
both the fire
Yeah,
and their, but
Right.
one of them is contractual, one of them is not.
right, yeah,
And the conversation has already been had that we will revisit that number once it's validated at, like, what did 7 mil equal over the last 5 years running, percentage. That's the line you should expect, the trend line you should expect to see, not the 7 mils.
right.
So that's the same kind, and she's yes
So doing
on
it
board.
based on a
Dollar.
dollar, not a
Right,
million.
well, it's gonna be I think ultimately it's a percentage of the general fund.
Because that was what?
You were 11%,
70,000?
11.5,
What was
12%,
it?
I'm thinking it's gonna be a fairly consistent number.
What was the mill worth this year, 11,000 or 10,000?
Almost 11.
11,000, so we gave the library almost $77,000. So, and the year before, it was 8,000.
And the other thing to be aware of, that she is also aware of, is that the library
We
is
gave
one
an
of those
extra
things that
10,000.
people scream and wave their hands and say, I'm paying for it twice, because I pay for it in county taxes, and I also pay it for city
That was
taxes.
brought up in our resort tax meeting as well.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we pay as a county taxpayer, and then we're paying it out of our general fund too as a city taxpayer. So, we are paying, the city is paying for it twice.
Residents of the city pay for it in two
Yeah.
different places.
Right.
Okay, so Public Works Parks,
That's zero, because I think it all comes out of
Page-
resort tax.
we're on
Six.
page 6, just wrapping that up.
And then go to page 7.
Now we're resort.
Okay, yeah, resort tax, okay, planning and research, that's our, is that planning department then?
No, that's just where I plug it into under resort tax, because that 13,000 is the software, and then the 2,500
Oh,
is
okay.
audits, which, Danae, because per our ordinance, we're supposed to be doing audits of businesses.
right, okay,
We haven't, because we cannot find any auditors that will do the audits. Our city auditors don't do those, but through that resort tax group or whatever, that, Danae does have some names of auditors that will do our resort tax audits,
Okay.
but that 2,500 is not gonna cover it,
So this is a resort tax audit?
for the businesses, it's not a city audit, it's business
Oh,
audit.
tax audits of businesses, to basically say they're not lying to us.
Correct,
right.
because for the ordinance, it does state that. So that may increase when we figure out that side of it.
Okay.
Okay, so
And-
facilities administration?
So that's where I had it coded for the software, and then the auditors had me change it to
Okay.
the other one. So it's
Okay,
more just clerical stuff, which is.
Okay.
Moved
Okay.
to above.
okay. Law enforcement services, so, improvements other than what?
Building.
Buildings? Okay.
It's just a capital.
Oh, so those are their cars, the new cars?
Yeah, and then he put in 17,000, and I don't know what that was for. I'm not quite sure.
So if that's, you said that's cars,
Well, that's what we bought.
That's what we bought, capital. It's,
Yeah, the $103,000 that we spent.
but
was-
why is it showing us coming out of general?
it's.
No, we're on resort tax.
Look up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you.
I know, you're fine.
That's the bad thing about the.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Right.
So, okay, so that's capital expenditure for police department. It could be body armor, it could be new radios, I don't know. I'm sure he will post. Okay, road and street construction. So, that is Willie then?
Yeah, that's capital Willie. But like you said, it does state in the ordinance
Yeah,
that roads and streets salaries can be paid out of resort tax.
Yes.
So that 71,000 is currently in general, could ultimately be moved into resort tax. But like I said, it hasn't been because of the comments.
Well,
from the ordinance committee.
yeah, I mean, we want to be able to, people want their street specs, I mean, so,
And then,
What's interesting is when I talk to resort committee, they continually say that they have one full-time person who's paid out of resort tax, and they're wrong. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, half the
No,
person
part.
is coming out of.
it's the other part. Willie,
No, I'm sorry.
It's a one.
They just say a staff position.
One.
Yeah.
And that's, one.
And,
Yeah.
and so who's the other one?
it's just Willie.
Because it's only half of Willie.
No, he's
but the
also
other
in
half
the
is
park.
parks.
He's under park.
So
He's
half of
on
Willie-
full-time, and he's split between
Parks.
resort tax, between parks and streets.
Okay,
Under
so
resort tax.
let's go back to general then,
Okay,
because I had a note on page,
that's not Willie.
Willie is not paid out of resort, or general fund.
I had to No, maybe I misunderstood, because I had that he was.
No, no.
That was why,
Willie's complete.
Road and streets,
That's our other guys.
why are they, because we don't have an enterprise fund for road and streets.
Well, roads and streets are.
It's general.
Yeah, and now there's
Well,
resort
now
tax
resort.
because we changed the ordinance so that it could be
Okay, so
resort tax.
this could be, but this is not Willie.
correct.
No,
Right.
Okay,
no, this one includes Rob, Garrett, and Luke.
So when they go out and they fill potholes, or they go out and, you know, you drive the street cleaner,
but
gonna be
but
resort tax.
that's only
Well, again,
$62,000.
It's a percentage because those guys are split.
Also doing others.
Yeah.
and I think
water.
our resort tax is also to help with our infrastructure because of the impacts of having additional bodies coming through.
Right,
So-
people driving on our streets and causing potholes. and-
Totally.
I will be right back, please
Okay.
continue with that.
Okay, so, yeah,
And then whatever notes I need to make me good notes until we
Okay.
get out.
okay, so, okay, so,
So, yeah, so like I said, there's a possibility of moving that 71,000 into this one.
yeah.
And we don't even have to necessarily do all of it.
No,
Like, I mean, if that could be a conversation with resort tax, where it's just like, let's,
And I
Offset a
don't
little bit.
remember what the resort, why they had an issue with the other guys being out of streets, because they're still doing street stuff.
yeah, they're filling hot potholes, they're maintaining our streets, they're driving the street sweeper.
I just never.
That's all together. It's,
they just might have a different vision of what that
They
fund
do.
is used for.
they do
And-
not, exactly.
And that's all it is, but I mean, I think if we were to explain it in a way where it's just like, look, you know, resort tax, big picture is,
They want to minimize resort tax being spent for the day-to-day expenses of
Yep.
running the city.
yep,
Which is unfortunate because the way it's wrote in the ordinance, it's for operation and maintenance, and you have to have bodies to do the operation and maintenance of it.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, and they, to be fair, they do not vote on, they don't have a vote.
They don't, no.
They're an advisory only.
yep.
So, but I do definitely appreciate and respect their opinions and their advice. But,
Yep.
Right.
you know, when it comes to, can we take 68,000 out of general fund and put it into resort tax and still be able to keep the number of employees that we have, that we need,
Right.
you know, it's
Oh, yeah.
either or, you know.
Yep.
It's a choice you have to make. And I'm not willing to, so, okay, and all of this other, okay, janitorial. So these are just things,
Majority of the stuff hasn't gone up, you know, the signs, sign parts and supplies, I think Mike wanted to update, that's separate from the addressing. the
Okay,
addressing, but
okay.
So, to be aware of that, to update some outdated.
Yeah,
signs.
misreading signs and such,
Okay.
yep.
okay,
And that's one thing too, so we had a bit of that conversation in, Public Works as well, to communicate with our emergency services to see if we actually do need to do the street project. Yeah, the readdressing project. So this 40 grand could shift.
Yeah, and that's just, I just plugged it back in.
And I appreciate that, yeah. But I'm just gonna put a little highlight on that, and hopefully we can have that resolved before budget is done, and
Yeah.
so, on office supplies and materials, they've only spent like $1,000, and it looks like 2022, 23, they did spend 1,800, but I'm not sure why it was up so much.
I'm not sure,
I'm like, so I don't know, I guess, but, there again, you know, $2,000 seems like a lot for office supplies and materials, and,
yeah, and like I said, we can definitely go through and,
yeah,
and change it.
just, you know,
I think what Mike did was, if it was in the current budget, that's kind of what he did.
yeah, I'm just wondering why we had it at 2,000 last year, if there was something they were gonna get, or, because they've never, yeah.
They don't spend that much in office. supplies,
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
Somebody just comes and steals my printer.
Yeah, exactly. Machinery and equipment.
It's an inside joke, and it is funny, and it is humor.
Parts, machinery and equipment, I mean, that makes sense. Tools. Signs, parts and supplies, sand and gravel. We had not a lot of snow this last year, so it looks like our sand was getting. So.
And I'm assuming the water utility services is going up just due to the audit as well as what we're doing with stormwater? Is that accurate?
Is there a specific line you're referring to?
I am
41.
Oh, I'm looking at 342, water
Oh,
utility.
So
Okay.
that's the use of, city water, that's.
Oh, okay.
water bill.
That's what we use.
Yeah,
Okay,
Oh, so
gotcha.
you assign that to the road and street department too,
for the shop.
for the shop? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, we all,
Okay.
still, all of
All
our
the-
buildings
yeah.
still pay into the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though we are the city?
Yep.
Okay.
We're allowed to
nothing's
be our own
free.
customer.
Okay.
Yep.
And then telephone, cell phone, medical. Computer tech support.
But, so going back to 342,
Mm-hmm.
why is there such a variety of that line over the years? Any guesses?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like 1347 has been paid so far. And we only budgeted 600.
Yeah, I'll have to look on that one, I don't know.
Well, and, yeah, that's, ultimately, that would be a Mike presentation, but I would look to him to look for you for help on it too.
Yeah. Training services, plumbing, heating, and electric. So is that for repairs?
Yep. Any street, like any building repairs.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just, you never know, like heaters and stuff.
Right.
For the shop, those are the main things that usually tend to happen.
So are we not putting, where is the wayfinding then on it?
$3.99.
Yeah, because are we not doing that, or, I guess we have 6,000 in there still?
Yeah, that was a question mark, because I wasn't sure,
Did,
because we had money budgeted this current year, which they've spent some on
Okay.
already. And I think that was line item 397 before, but I broke it out, so
That's
Because-
okay, I like that.
that it was its own line item.
okay,
So that's why it's not matching up with
Okay.
anything, but it was in that contract.
gotcha, okay.
But
But I don't know going
jointly,
forward.
they went up. Because it went from 10,000 to 7,000 plus 6,000, which is 13.
Yeah, and that might be another, Mike question on that one.
So the capital outlay, 400,000.
So I just put that as a placeholder, because that EDA match grant for that, the street project, was
Okay.
a $3.5 million project that Great West is putting in. We have to come up with $750,000, which is earmarked out of, gas tax, that big chunk we got,
Yeah,
and then stormwater, which I think between those two, we can cover the, but I just put that placeholder in there. It's not meaning we're gonna spend that,
okay,
and that's why I made that note.
And by the way, if we guess wrong and don't spend this money, there's nothing wrong with our reserves going up a little bit.
Yeah, no.
and then,
I left the street signs in there.
okay,
That's the ongoing one. And like I said, that one, our signs are not ADA and have some other issues, so.
okay. And machinery and equipment, a new grader?
And these questions should really be for Mike, because I can't remember.
Oh,
No,
I know.
and they will be.
They will be,
Um,
yeah.
What, my question, Lonnie, kind of coming up front would be, why would that come out of general as opposed?
It's not
It's
reserve
Oh,
tax.
we switched to reserve tax,
Yeah, we're
sorry.
still in reserve tax.
I'm sorry, I'm adopted.
So as far as general fund, there's no capital. coming
Yeah,
out of
we
general.
passed that,
Yep.
okay. I took a bathroom break, I have a very short
And if
memory.
I remember what you said about the grader, you found a used one maybe?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
talking about that.
So that might be, because 50,000 is not gonna buy a brand new grader, so.
Yeah.
But I think that he been looking for,
Is our other one out of commission then?
no, I don't think so. I don't remember.
I
I vaguely remember him talking about this during Public Works.
Our current one is like a dinosaur though.
Yeah,
It is
it
very old. It was
because it's just
used
not
when I
very
was-
efficient or something like that.
Okay. And then our lease payment for the
He
new
wants to
back.
get a new back truck, but that says the lease payment, would be split between the streets, water and sewer because they.
Rather than buying it outright.
Yeah,
Rather
because
than buying it outright.
a back truck is usually for sewer, isn't it?
Sewer,
For-
water, it can
For
be used.
sucking stuff out of,
Yeah, but if you have a leaking water main, you're
That's what I
gonna use
mean.
it to,
but I know, I
Right,
guess
but why
I'm
would it
just,
be resort? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I guess I'm saying,
So the part of
is
it,
there not enough money in water and sewer to
no.
pay for their own capital and that?
They do use it when they're doing streets, like if they have to suck out potholes because of all of the stuff that they're gonna come in. Like I said, these are questions for Mike.
Yeah, no, I get it, I get it.
We're
I
just voicing them.
Yeah, and how, so is this split between, is the total payment 50,000, but it will be split between those three, or is,
50,000 per, there's 150,000.
for how long?
I don't know. I haven't seen, he hasn't done any kind of lease or anything, but looking at it, once again, I haven't, he just told me the numbers to plug in there.
Okay. Okay. All right.
A new jetter truck though, they are like
Oh, I can only imagine.
$600,000-$700,000.
Yeah, no,
but, and I've made a note, versus the enterprise funds
Right.
coming from there as well, too,
Okay.
so.
okay.
Great, so parks,
Yes.
so I assume that's the other half of Lily.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And then, supplies, material, postage. Ag and horticulture?
Yep.
Is that new? Because we've never, or it's always been there, but we just don't spend it?
No, it's new and I don't remember what Mike was thinking on that
Okay.
one. Tree, no, I don't know.
Okay. Repair and maintenance supplies.
I think it might be, I wonder if that is, no, because that match is going through this year. Yeah, I'll put a question mark and we'll explain it.
Okay. Supplies, tools, purchase services. Yeah. Vacation, water utilities. Okay. Other professional services, grounds maintenance, what exactly?
Yeah, I have that highlighted as well. I'm wondering if that is,
I think Mike wants to do more improvements in some of the parks and stuff.
Okay.
yeah, there's been a lot of,
Well, we've used it in the past, I just didn't know, is that like Mike
So,
Taylor?
Moose Trails is
Yeah.
one that we're,
Professional services, sorry.
oh, where are you looking at professional?
390.
259.
oh, I'm looking at a different one.
That's staying the same.
Yeah.
I just was wondering what it was. And then we
Oh,
have
sure.
other professional services, which is 80. Is that the
That's the
park
one where
board?
I saw that there was,
Okay, so the other purchase services, that's where we had Parks Board, but Mike didn't feel like the Parks Board should have an actual budget, so we put it Parks Projects, so any projects that the Parks Board would like to do, then it goes through.
in
Mike.
other words, they don't write the checks, they make recommendations, and
Yeah.
then the
So-
city goes.
We had kind of given them, like, that kind of autonomy
Yeah.
for.
Well, I don't know that, well, I guess I wasn't there, show me the paperwork where we get to give them that autonomy, because I
No,
don't think we
we
do, they're
just
just,
gave them a budget and said, go spend it. And then when we finally got our resort tax back, where we could give them a budget again, it was 70,000.
that explains some of the conversations that we've had past tense and now have realigned expectations.
Yeah, no,
So-
we had a very long meeting over that. And I don't necessarily mind them having like their own sub-budget that's approved by council, and then they can utilize that throughout the year without having to drag stuff down, because it's already been seen and approved by council.
But they don't have any check writing authority, they
No,
have.
they wouldn't have any check writing authority, but then they wouldn't necessarily, like, if it's in that budget and it's line itemed, they could tell Mike to move forward. and he can write the check.
And I'm still gonna back up on that, because they don't direct staff, they don't, so I like what we have, which is, here's what we'd like to do, and it gets done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And nobody's complaining, because it's getting done.
yeah,
Okay.
fair enough.
So the other purchase services then was the parks board budget. but
Yeah.
Now it's
Parks project.
parks project. So
Yeah.
you're just basically renaming it, and the parks board will make recommendations on how to spend that,
Mhm.
but it'll basically be Mike who says, yeah, that's a good use.
He's the responsible party, they are
Okay.
consulted and
That,
informed.
that makes, I like that, because
Yep.
then you all of a sudden don't have people just, yeah,
Yeah.
never mind, I won't say that out loud.
Mhm.
It was an inside thought, stuff,
Keep your inside
Intrusive thoughts.
voices inside.
yes, okay. Contract payment, 27,000.
I don't remember what those ones are.
I mean, we've had those in the past, it's not,
Yeah.
you know. Capital outlay,
Any overage to balance?
so that was, we had,
That was a placeholder. last
it was, yeah, like,
Okay.
if we had, because we had to say, estimate how much resort tax funds we have coming in.
Okay.
So we have to basically say,
You
if
can't,
we have extra money,
Where does it go?
where does it go?
if we get $3 million in resort tax, we'll pay off the pool early. But if you don't have a line item for it,
Yep, you
then,
can do it.
then it goes back in property tax.
Totally get it. Yep.
And so the capital outlay then was basically, parks improvements or paying things, you know, I mean, it was
It was
based,
just a placeholder.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
And basically what we don't do is we don't spend it until after it comes in.
right.
Yep.
And the reality is that number might be a little low.
Yeah,
coming
that'll
into
probably,
this
it'll
next
change,
year.
depending on what cash available we have to start with in
Mhm.
July, because it's all.
Well, you don't have to spend everything.
Right.
No, and you can't spend it if you don't have it.
Right, I mean, just
Because
because,
we didn't
but-
bring in 1.8.
No.
Budgeted.
what are we at?
I
No.
think I've heard 1617, which is.
That's awesome.
Which would be fantastic.
God, that's amazing, yeah, that's absolutely
But
amazing.
I have a follow-up, so.
So we'll have to, because that's one thing we have to, if we're getting that close to that 1/8, that we're gonna have to bump it up to 2, so we do not,
Yeah, because I'm not doing that again.
no.
Not doing what, the first year, the year we didn't?
Huh?
Not doing what
the
again, the year
COVID,
when we didn't do it?
When we didn't put enough in there.
Yeah,
we
no,
had to-
no.
That was a
Yeah.
disaster.
Because I mean, and the public wants the resort tax money to go to
Yes.
city projects. They want, they don't, of course, that may be different now that property taxes have gone through the roof, I guess. Okay, are we on swimming pools now?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, current budget, personnel services, we budgeted 78,000, but that'll go up a little bit because we'll start paying people in this fiscal year again, right?
Mhm.
We spent 53,000 so
So,
far.
yeah,
We
so
budgeted-
part of their
Oh, yeah,
problem
so
is
part
that
of it.
their swim pool season does not align with our
Right,
budget
exactly.
year.
Yeah.
I'm just clarifying that we will be paying more, we probably will hit that 78,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, because we'll have a month of pain.
So why and we increased it, you just bumped it up 4%? Is that 4%? That's more than 4%, right?
So,
78 to 92.
because now they have a head lifeguard, whereas last year we didn't, so that put them in a different grade. So we have like a different,
Do we need a headline card?
supposedly.
They reported that, and the pool committee and Mike have all signed off on it. And, pardon?
Once again, I believe that's a personnel thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It- I know that they've had issues with staffing lifeguards in the past, so that might be enough
Well,
of a
there
carrot.
there was also an addition of a secondary person to cover that person,
Yeah.
and then we
also
lost that
training.
person and changed them over.
There's also, I think that might be a part of the training bit, where, like, if you're more qualified.
I look forward to having that detailed
Yeah,
presentation and
I-
question answered by,
I'm like,
Okay.
it's a 2-month job, I'm like,
well, it's more than a 2 months,
3 months.
but, yeah.
For a head lifeguard?
Well, because they're planning, they're hiring people, they're getting the pool ready. Well, I think the pool was ready when we got our 9 inches of snow, I'm just saying.
I know, I saw that, it was funny, I took a picture, I was like, oh, look at that. Then what does the pool manager do?
They manage the pool. So the head lifeguard
What's the
is more
difference?
considered like,
Facilities versus the bodies who are
yeah.
Yeah.
watching the lifeguard
So
station.
the pool manager is like
Chemicals,
care of
Yeah.
water.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't do like,
yeah, no, I realize that, I just,
You assume that, well,
These are the questions to say, come and explain this when we do it, and so.
yeah, okay.
it's,
I guess I just really want
to
to
be
see the
fair though,
reasoning why they would
they
need
did
both.
ask for an assistant manager plus a head lifeguard. So now it's just a manager.
And I was in those meetings, but we had, it went through several check guards, but that doesn't mean it doesn't also go through council as a check guard.
Yeah,
So they'll
I
come
mean, and I
ready to
realize
explain
it's
it.
resort tax, but we have to be careful
No,
about
we're-
causing,
No,
using this as
yeah.
a slush fund and like,
And it's not, it's
Yeah,
so, but
okay.
we'll have them come and defend, I'm okay with
okay,
that.
okay. I will reserve judgment until I hear from them.
Okay.
Okay, so everything else looks like it's just normal.
Pools are the $359. I'm not sure why I got bumped up that much, I mean.
Where's that? $359?
Yeah, for other professional services, it got bumped up.
$10,000?
That's why I need to look and see what
What?
Mike had
Hmm.
question on that one.
also,
I do know that they're doing a whole bunch of, but I would think that would almost been this year. They're doing some additional, the word that means something other than I thought, the parquet, what do they call the,
certifications?
no, the balcony, the cover,
Oh. Splash pad?
pergola, which I always thought was a type of flooring. They're adding it, so they are doing some stuff on on the slide and stuff, but that's under warranty, so that's not
Well,
covered.
Yeah.
I think that includes they putting gutters.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
And there was something else Mike had mentioned, bike rack, maybe?
Yeah, bike racks is on there.
That's a good idea there.
So it was just some
Okay.
improvement.
Well, and I thought the pergola had already had money fundraised for that.
If it was in phase 2 or phase 1,
Yeah, I thought it was already included.
I don't know,
No,
I've got a
okay.
question mark there.
I have a question on telephone, why that's going up 500%.
B, okay,
Because that includes, I don't have the internet in here, but
because
Oh, that's the internet.
their
So their
solar down
solar-
there requires internet protection in order to be able to report on it. So that's a
we have to leave
conversation that's being
we have to
revisited.
leave our phone on.
Yeah,
down
all
there
year.
all year for it to work with. And it's expensive, it's like.
It's really expensive.
And so there is a conversation out right now to see if the break even is, if it's costing us, if we're spending everything we're getting from our solar, proving that the solar is doing something, then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know we had this conversation during sustainability board, so.
Yeah, that's the same conversation.
Yep.
Okay. So, special, are we done with pool? Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm good with pool.
Special improvement bonds, is that the bond for the pool?
Yep.
Okay.
And then like the transfer to general, the 5%, that stuff will change because I don't
Right.
know, that just will depend on what we decide to
Right.
put on the revenue side of it.
Okay. And then we're still doing our 150 for sewer,
Does this
100 for
include
water.
our new, no, because that's gonna be in the enterprise, that our
Yeah, that's.
stormwater is not even in here yet. Okay.
No, we're not there yet, okay. Building code enforcement. Okay, so this is Brian's budget.
And
Yeah.
it's down because we're cost sharing.
It's,
Yep.
yeah, it's down by about 30,000 because for one, we're only paying Brian and not Tim. Tim was 6 months of last year.
Okay.
So that's a huge
And-
drop and a percentage of Brian is.
They
what-
did, refresh my memory, they did change it, so it isn't a use all the fee income that we have coming in, right, anymore. We
What
won't
they
lose
did
it.
is they changed how much your carryover can be
Right, so
significantly,
we
a
don't
number
have
of
to
years.
spend it all, like we
Right.
were
It's
having
like
to.
3 years. It's not a 1 year.
But we'll be okay going down like this? Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, Brian was pretty good about.
okay, it won't affect that, we won't have.
Oh, Brian's pretty good on his.
Because you never know, I mean, we may have a slowdown in this building, huge thing we have going on right now, so it's not
He
necessarily
has
gonna.
quite a bit in reserve, so he
Okay.
should be, but like I said, they moved it from 1 year of reserve, that's a 3.
Okay.
Is it 3 or is it even 5? I just remember he wasn't concerned about it.
Okay.
Contract payments?
Are we still on page 10?
Correct.
What's the number on that?
397 underneath Brian.
Okay.
That is his third-party review,
Okay.
that he sends out bigger plans to have
Okay.
that third-party review on.
Awesome. Good to know. Okay. I'm glad I brought an extra piece of paper to go down with.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, gas
So-
appropriations tax.
So that's down because it's getting split, I take it?
No, it's down because last year was insanely unreal. It's always been,
Really small.
it's been like is it 25 to 50-ish?
So it's actually gone up because I plugged in the amount, for the EDA grant match,
Okay.
because that was what we got from the state through whatever the feds did.
Gotcha. I was just looking at the roads, or the personal services.
So
Oh, yeah, that one's just, because Jim used to be taken out of here, so Mike's wages are less than Jim's.
Gotcha.
So that's why
Cool.
there's, not a huge bump in those.
Cool.
Okay. And then, but the capital outlay is for the match for the EPA.
Yes, that 443, that.
And when will we know if we get that? Or did we already get it?
I don't know if they've submitted it yet.
So our 202 that jumped up to 539 is the EDA.
Grant match, yeah, because that 443 was actually sitting in reserves for our current year. But now we're gonna use that towards the EDA match.
Cool.
So,
400, and I'm sorry, again?
got
443, 335,
It shows right there,
very bottom of
on 900.
Road and Street.
And once again, I don't know what we're gonna receive in gas tax, they haven't sent those out yet. So Mike may have to adjust that when I get cash available and what, is coming into. But these are all the enterprise funds that are based on
Right.
the revenues that we get in.
Right.
Okay. All right.
I was gonna ask a question, I'm just weighing in my mind, I believe it's public information, so it's okay to ask, it's not personnel, but you mentioned that Mike's wages are less than Jim's work, do you know off the top of your head kind of what sort of a percentage is or comparisons we are? Okay.
No, Jim was up at like, as far as steps wise in the pay matrix, he was over 20, whereas, Mike is like, I think we started him out at 7 because of his experience at Shoto,
Okay,
so,
thank you.
but I don't know the percentage.
Nope.
I don't have to talk to him.
Okay. So, water?
And I think Mike said he had
Yeah.
some changes, but I never saw them before I got, it was sent this out, so I'm not sure where the changes are.
This is a preliminary,
Yeah.
Okay.
and we're still beating the state requirement to doing it.
Okay. So there really aren't a lot of changes on our road officer?
Mm-mm.
Because Mike hasn't really.
Are we
taken
on
a
page
look.
12 now?
Yes,
Yep.
Okay.
underwater. I
So
guess,
again, part of that's Lonnie's getting shifted over for personnel. Yep.
Yeah, and including also the new position of 33% is coming out of.
Okay.
So that is also a huge increase, because mine only, the percentage-wise was only 10% of mine.
Okay.
That went, I think, or 5% maybe,
Okay.
but the bigger increase is due to the new position.
Electrical supplies, and again, this is all night questions, I take it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can
Oh.
try to answer some of them.
Yeah, electrical and plumbing,
yeah, we went from,
to see a increase.
well, we had
there.
80,000 that we budgeted, but we've never spent that much. We've only gone up to like 40.
Oh, I was looking at something else, but yeah.
Oh, I thought you were looking at the 341.
I'm looking at 235 and 236
Oh,
with the
235,
supplies. And I imagine that's just because we're using some of water to pay for what a different department was paying for before. or we just see an increase in this?
So plumbing supplies would be like, for water, any kind of water fixes.
Okay.
Water line fixes or anything. Electrical, has to do with any of the buildings, the water buildings.
Okay.
So it's not supplementing any
Okay.
other department. And costs are going up for everything, so that's
Yeah.
why the bump of an extra 400 in there.
Okay. Yeah, no, it does seem like a lot with the 80,000 for electrical and gas utility services. So 341.
We never spent that, but we budgeted that last year. We
Yeah.
budgeted it again.
Yeah, it's like twice as much as we've ever spent,
Mainly because,
if it were to
We don't
explode.
yeah, and I think we budgeted 80,000 last year because of the big increase from Northwestern that we thought we were gonna get.
Oh,
with.
So that might be worth looking at.
I-
Anticipated,
it's gonna go up a little bit because we're May, so we have another month, but it's not gonna be.
It's not gonna be double.
Yeah, it's gonna be $80,000 in 1 month.
the other thing to remember is that this is an enterprise fund too, so,
Right,
Having
no, I realize that, I
Okay.
did. But, you know, then it comes down to the, the vac truck.
Again, that could be
Pay for
used
the vac
for,
truck.
yeah, well, and it's in
And all
our,
that resort tax.
so looking to, gotcha.
and accounting and auditing is up 167%.
Right, because we spent 13,000 this year on it, because
Yeah.
of federal audits, because we had federal money for projects.
And we might again.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's just a
Okay.
safe holding place to make sure we have
Yeah.
enough.
So to go back to the last conversation, if I may, we were talking about resort tax versus the enterprise funds. Basically, like the electric and gas utility is something that's operationally out of the, operationally, the enterprise fund should be self-supporting. Resort taxes for special projects and for making things better.
Right.
From it, sort of a thing. In other words, let's not use resort tax, and that's how resort tax was for years and years and years. You just
I'm
went to
not
water
talking
and
at
sewer,
all
went to
about-
water and sewer, no, but again, each of those dollars can only be spent once. So if if it's something that the enterprise fund is and should be self-supporting,
Right,
let's
yeah.
not be pulling the resort tax from it.
That's-
Going
that's-
back to, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
kind of what
so
I'm
the,
saying.
the back truck,
Yeah.
that, example is the
I
back
mean, and yes,
truck.
it is an eligible resort tax expense, but if the
If
enterprise
we can
fund.
find space in enterprise to pay for it.
If the, it's a normal operational cost of,
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I see a space where we could potentially put some more money back into enterprise and use that to save.
or spend it from enterprise as
Exactly, yeah.
opposed to, yeah, that's, and
Yep,
that's,
exactly.
I was just calling that out because that was a spot on.
One thing I noticed that I find interesting, and I'm wondering, again, this, I'm not sure if Mike would have insight on this. Okay, never mind, just kidding, I'm very happy with it.
Line number,
359, the lab work,
yeah,
Yeah, so I switched those so that I could, because it was being a pain for me to try to break out lab work and stuff. So 359 is just strictly lab work now for the 5,000.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, because I had GIS and code
oh,
verification
that's why it was
included
so
in there.
high.
Oh.
That's what I was wondering, I was like,
so which line number is
390.
GIS,
390.
390?
390 now
Okay,
okay,
is the 30,000 and then.
gotcha, all right, cool,
Classification at the top.
that's good.
Yeah, so it's still, the numbers are still there, it's just split
Nope,
now.
I love that, let's do that.
Just makes it cleaner to put them in different objects.
I 100% agree.
300,000 for engineering on 354.
I would highly recommend leaving that because, with the projects and
Yeah.
everything that they are working on,
We're gonna need
we're
that.
gonna need that.
Okay.
stormwater and everything else.
Engineering is expensive.
I know it
but
is.
in turn, if we have the project
Again.
shovel ready,
Long career.
we are more eligible for
Yeah, we'll get money.
grants. and stuff.
Right.
So, yep, nope, totally worthwhile there.
And just for the line item you were looking at on that,
For the grant,
the engineering,
354,
Yeah,
architectural/engineering. Yeah, I just, going back, I mean, we just have to figure out how to get some grant writing funding into our police department budget so they can have that same
okay,
bump from grants that we're not getting right now.
okay.
Sorry, I'll keep using that there for example. Okay. Payments, asphalt and asphalt filler. The same. But, oh, 800,000 for the
Yeah,
bypass, okay.
And that cash, so it'll be balanced off with impact fees on the revenue side of that.
okay.
And then the SCADA system.
No,
Updating it.
whoa, wait, why is the plow truck lease coming out of water?
That's an old one.
I know, why did it come out of water?
In 23, 24,
Yeah.
Last year,
Yeah.
That's
That was,
not a current budget though. I'll have to look at that one.
yeah, that's.
yeah, because that,
That's
And it's not
Red
the
flag.
plow truck lease, so that line, that object code was used in the past as a plow truck lease, but I
Oh,
can't
so
remember.
it's not.
object code changed names historically.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, wait, we might get some questions on that one.
And that's all right, questions are allowed, we
I
just
know.
have to be able to answer it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a 5-year lease, back to your question, how long? I decided on this one.
Okay. Then
More
the
bypass.
back for 50,000, construction.
And I think the 16-inch bypass, I think I put it in there twice, and I had that question mark to ask,
Oh,
Yeah.
you did, you guys did.
to ask Mike, and I forgot before I sent this out, so.
Okay, so that might be included in the 800?
I think needs to
Okay.
go away.
Which one you think needs to go
The
in?
950, the.
Yeah, it's probably included in the 930?
Yes, I believe so, it's not 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Broadway rehab loan?
What would that be for?
Uh,
What was
Is-
that, or
when
what
we-
project?
When we redid the water main on Main Street,
Oh, okay.
we, that's in,
That was a while ago.
Interest, huh?
these are all interest, with-
Debt service, basically.
Yep.
How much do we owe on that?
So that one was a, interfund loan. The water borrowed from sewer, so we are slowly paying back.
Oh, so it's just, okay, that makes sense then.
Yep.
Okay. Hagan Avenue,
Okay.
interest.
Is that another enter?
No, that's a bond. The only interfund one is the Broadway rehab loan. That's the
Okay.
only interfund transfer. Everything else, the interest on that.
What is our depreciation?
It's our equipment, or all of our schedule, depreciation schedule.
To find the then sewer. Then you're in sewer too, right? Yeah.
On page 14.
Yeah, on page 14, your party here.
And the new position is also, so we need, staff breakdown in all of these basically. In all, which is basically X percent of blank, blank, and blank.
We're doing 300,000 for engineering out of this one too,
Yep.
600,000.
Because they're
Yeah.
different projects.
Right, no, I get that, I'm like, wow.
And our stormwater is still under sewer, correct?
No. Stormwater is under stormwater, which I don't think I did not bring stormwater out yet, because I hadn't.
Okay.
And we-
Because you had what you said?
I haven't finished it.
Okay.
So computer and tech support, 20,000 under sewer? Is that because of solar panels or?
And their computer systems and,
Which one are, what number, sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry, 355.
That one I might need to ask,
Yeah.
Mike on that one.
I would like to know.
particularly where it's changed.
Well, Ian, why did we put
We-
18,000 on?
We budgeted 18, we spent 13, and we're bumping it to 20.
Yeah. A lot. And then, yeah. Lab work, and then we have, so 362, equipment repair, why did we budget $140,000 last year?
That could have
Is that
been,
the sweeper?
No,
the
it's
health stuff.
Resort tax, because
I think the equipment down at the
this
store.
is equipment repair. This is repair, it's not even buying new stuff, this is repair.
Oh,
And then what did we not spend, because we've only spent 12,000?
Well, we never spent $140,000, I
Yeah.
don't know why.
that was a gym visit last year, and I don't remember what he was calculating, because I don't have last year's budget in front of me, or current year's budget, because I had notes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But like I said, like the mayor said also, this is the enterprise fund.
No, I realized that, it just, why
Yeah.
is it so much more over what we spent? And what's the project that? I
What,
mean,
what project did we not do that we were
I
going
know,
to do?
what piece of equipment needed to be repaired that was gonna be $140,000?
But that's public works. They would know what equipment is
Sewer
coming down
operating.
and needs any
Right,
kind of.
and that's it.
repair.
Right,
We just, again, we're not
Yeah.
specifically
We're
asking
not
you,
asking you.
we're just putting that question
Yeah,
out there.
no.
And if you happen to know, great, and if not,
I know.
we'll get that information, but we're not attacking you with
I'm
it.
sorry.
Be nice, it's her birthday.
It
Is it your birthday?
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Oh, I would have brought you something. I would have brought you a Huckleberry milkshake.
Oh.
They brought me a Huckleberry coffee.
There you go.
All right, and then capital outlay up 500,000, which it sounds like we do have some,
Sewer, that's a relining project.
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
No, we definitely want the poop to go away, so that's what it is.
Yeah, we don't want any more line crushes like we had.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
the
a-
relining project is
Right.
gonna eliminate is, fixing all those cast
From
irons.
someone who had a broken sewer line for 3 months, I appreciate that.
And
Everything
I
else is-
really like that, in one sense, the only 2 complaints we ever heard were the initial 2 that triggered us to go look into it.
Mm.
And I talked to a good third of them in person afterwards, and they never saw anything, so.
We're almost there, right?
No.
All right, so we're now on page 15?
Yeah, try to get out of here by 11.
I've been getting blown up over here. All right, so bonds, intercap loan,
Yeah, so those are all of
Contract
our
payments or
bonds that
public
we have.
services.
ugh. All right, that's.
And we still have that jetter truck here as well as under, wasn't that one we saw under
I've
resort?
seen it in 3 spots.
And
was.
it should be street, water, and sewer,
Yeah,
Yep,
yep, it is.
but I thought I also saw it under, what was under resort, something else?
something else,
Okay.
No, it was under
Resort tax,
resort tax.
sewer and
sewer,
water,
and water.
those 3.
The streets comes out of resort tax.
Ah,
It was streets, but it was resort tax paying.
so that was their third of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So then we just need to know why streets, okay, I'm caught up.
Okay,
I'm following the thinking and why we may not want to mess with it, but all right.
rewind, isn't that that's old, never mind, don't worry, don't mind me. I was like, I remember that, so long ago.
Okay, and then,
Is Hagan closed out way back when?
Sorry, Hagen Avenue.
So, I'm sorry, this is the 490250, second down on page 15.
Right, yeah, that might have been one of the ones we refinanced. Usually we,
That's
like,
the time
interest-
frame.
Interest
Yeah.
is usually like consolidated into one line item on my spreadsheets, and this one breaks them down, so.
That time frame is when we did our refinancing, so. Boy, did we time that one correctly.
Right?
We didn't necessarily get the valley, but we sure as stink missed the peaks.
All right.
$12,000 to recycle glass.
Yeah, no, that's, that was another conversation we had with recycling.
Did you switch over to page 16?
Yes,
to
I'm
confirm?
sorry, I'm done, sorry, I hope you guys are okay with that.
Nope. So yeah, that's one thing that we did have a conversation about with, again, is the juice worth the squeeze? Are we actually reducing our carbon footprint whatsoever with this? So, that is potentially something that could go away.
Well, glass is
So,
biodegrades, it's the plastic that is awful. I mean,
Well,
glass
it's-
really doesn't necessarily.
So
It's
what they-
specifically how the glass has to be taken care of and how
Yeah,
far
because it has to go all the way to Idaho.
no,
And then down
that's the first of like 6 places it went.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
goes back and forth 14 times.
It's pretty ridiculous. And so again, for that cost and like how much diesel is being utilized, because again, like it goes up to Idaho, down to Denver, down to the south, like into Florida, like it's,
Jesus Christ.
exactly. So we're,
It's,
And it's something that doesn't necessarily hurt the environment the way that
Right.
plastic does. I
And I
mean,
mean-
it does
and Chris gave us an idea, or was talking about a glass compactor, or not
Mhm.
compactor, but crusher, where it like breaks it down and
Yeah.
turns it into gravel.
yeah,
And we're like, one of those machines, like, how much does that cost? Let's get a grant for that and then never have to pay
Do it,
for
yeah.
public.
yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
and then we have gravel that we're now not paying for.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's
So-
smart.
so here's my 2 cents on the whole recycling thing. That is a creation of council. I appreciate and welcome looking at it of what we're actually accomplishing versus what was feel-good benefit of it.
Yeah.
But like I said, that was council's creation and council's thing to fix. I will administer it to the absolute best of my ability and with staff, and we'll include the conversations with Republic and whatnot, but
Yep.
Well, I think personally, I feel that it does have a benefit. If we've only paid recycling cardboard $2,500, I can tell you that,
Yeah, cardboard is,
I mean, it's a hog in a dumpster, and in the summertime when, you know, people it costs a lot to throw cardboard away, and if it's only costing us $2,500 to recycle it,
yeah,
that's a win-win, and I'll pay my $10 a week fee to the recycling center to recycle my cardboard in the summertime, rather than fill up my dumpster.
yeah, the two things we were specifically talking about is, yes, I do see a benefit in having recycling for cardboard. The one thing that I wish we could return to is back when we used to just have the bins
Uh-huh.
where you could drop off at any time, because that's the hardest
I
part
know.
for me,
The
is
10 to
Wednesdays
2.
and Saturdays, like,
Yeah, Wednesday I don't have any help, Saturday I'm swamped,
yep.
and so I have not been able to recycle cardboard.
I do it probably twice a year, and I just stock it all up in my basement, and then take it when I can. And
Yeah,
it's not,
and the reality is, we have organizations in town that make loads and haul to Billings anyway that a conversation could probably happen and occur.
so again, I think we have some reevaluating that we're looking at with recycling. I don't necessarily mind having these line items here and then them just going away and not being spent, on that, or finding ways that we can utilize some of that for grants. Is there actually, we do have capital outlay for 19 in there for any sort of match, or is that not budgeted for this year?
I don't think I stuck that in there because that 19 was, banking on the cash available from,
right.
when Recycle Red Lodge, which we did
That's
not.
what we were told was
Gotcha.
going to be the balance that was going to be transferred, and it was way less than that.
Yeah, it was like 6,000 and some, it was not much at all.
Apparently we had a big party.
So is that not its own, I thought it was its own fund per council as
It is.
well?
It is its own fund, but it falls under solid waste.
Okay, so it's,
But it's its own subsection here, and its
Yeah.
own fund. It's funded strictly from the $6 per month.
Yep.
And, of course, the $10 that businesses pay and the membership fees from out of area,
Sure, it's just,
or out
I
of
need to
city.
reword that, it's in its own account under the solid
Right.
waste fund. So there's fund account option.
Right? So, do we know how it's doing this year?
From the
Um,
sounds of
Mike?
it, yeah, he just sent us something on that.
Okay.
And from the sounds of it, it's going to be tight, but doesn't look
So
like
if
it's
we can get a
going.
grant and do away to get a glass crusher and do away with this $12,000 a year, that would make it solvent.
I don't know, that, I think that's a fair question to ask.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it kind of was a question.
I
It
think
wasn't
the only thing
necessarily a
that's
statement.
keeping it afloat is the, membership.
Okay.
I think that's sustaining it, is the membership.
When you say membership, the $6 or
The
on top of
$6
that?
and then the
The membership
Business
outside,
outside of the
Yeah.
$6.
yeah, the outside the city limits, and the drop-off fees and the $10. Because I just pay a drop-off fee, because in the winter I don't have cardboard. I
Because
just
if
have it
we
in
were to,
summer.
and it, they had these multiple discussions about the revenue side of it, and what we get off of, what we recycle would not sustain that without the user fees.
I think we could probably get away with it. I think that, because there used to be organizations that would come in, again, Rewind,
Yeah, they turned it all over to Red Lodge Recycling. They
but
didn't
I'm wondering
want
if
to do
there's
that.
other like state scale size ones that could do a very similar concept where they come down, kind of like we do our cleanup, because that's when Rewind would do it.
Yeah,
And you save your electronics for twice a year. Because like, I don't know about you, but I don't burn through a lot of computers. Like, or-
no, but when you do, or you, a TV,
Yeah,
which are, they definitely, and there's a lot of stuff in those that should be recycled and not just thrown in the dumpster.
Oh,
There's a lot of
sure.
components and stuff, it's a great. thing like that,
100%.
So.
but again, I just think that there might be another avenue
Yeah.
to reduce
No,
that
to me,
cost
the only thing that was a big red flag was the $12,000 for
for
glass.
glass.
I'm like, that's
It's
absolutely
ridiculous.
ridiculous, because
Yeah.
honestly, glass doesn't necessarily really hurt the environment. In fact, it's kind of pretty when it's beach glass.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Right?
We'll just put it in our sewer plant and let it get crushed in there, and it'll filter into the river, and it'll be beautiful.
There you go.
Or,
Or, okay,
All right, so I'm looking at this last page, grand total 11,468, that's our budget.
And that doesn't include all of the funds,
Okay.
because we still have retirement funds, we have the urban renewal, I just do not, because the budgets of them are.
well, thank you both for
Yeah.
sitting with us and explaining this
Yeah.
and going through this, and I
it
appreciate
also
it.
doesn't include stormwater because that's still in progress.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and staying an hour
Yep.
late.
We don't have warrants,
You have-
do we?
You only have 5 people today. Can I stop? Do I have any need to stress about paying for the work that we've already commissioned and had started? Are we good?
Oh, you're talking about for tonight?
The stormwater charge?
I don't think there should be any heartburn.
No, I think, I did appreciate, the letter that
Yeah.
we all received, so,
And
those were my main
And-
points too, and I understand that.
that's just it, we're in a position where I don't think we really have an option, and
I
Your
know.
your
And hopefully that stormwater
information,
will be, used to help pay that down quicker, so that those fees can go away faster.
And-
Also, sorry, I don't mean to.
No, that's
But another thing to mention on that is that stormwater money is also going to be used to redo the curb gutter and street.
Right,
And that's what I've been
And that,
saying.
Yeah.
and that's not included in that.
Right,
fund, and that
absolutely.
money will be used,
Right,
because it can't only be used for stormwater. So with the streets,
and related.
right.
yeah.
And some of it cannot be done with grant matching funds. And then your comments that you brought up early on about you're gonna pay this, whether you're paying it in insurance rates or you're paying it in this,
Or
is
to
valuable
repair your
information.
basement after,
Yep.
the sewer backs
And
up
so-
into it. during
You,
the storm,
Or
flood.
we have to go to a mechanical plant because we can't discharge.
that broken sewer line, I should have done video, I just took a couple of pictures. I'm not saying I would have drunk out of it, but it was as see-through could be.
Interesting.
It was,
Water.
it was fresh water from I&I infiltration and, what's the second I?
You probably still wouldn't wanna drink it.
No,
Or it still
I-
has some stuff in it.
No, I wouldn't, but it was very evident. The numbers that we actually came up with, there was something we came there, I would always heard that more than half of what we were treating was stormwater, and I think it's actually closer to 75%.
Yeah, that's what they were saying,
It may be
75 at
that
meeting.
That
So,
up to 25 is anticipated, so 50 is what we could get rid of, but it's still, there will still be some. And then you have, the Public Works meeting is canceled this
Correct.
evening,
Yep,
afternoon.
yeah. Meeting adjourned,
oh, yeah, sorry. That's a long one.
but it's worth it. Again,